This short video is about the P.P.P, known as the Principal Psychological Profile, or it is also being called the Chief Characteristic. Okay, so the P.P.P, the Principal Psychological Profile, is the main characteristic of your psychology. And without a doubt, for sure, everyone has a main characteristic to their psychology. In contemporary Gnostic terms, we would say that the P.P.P is one particular I, not as I as in your eyeball, but I as in I am, or ego within the person. So the P.P.P, the Principal Psychological Profile, is the characteristic that is impregnated or is present in nearly every psychological process that you have. The P.P.P is like a backdrop, it's like the background, it's like the mood of your psychology. It's always present, it's always there. And because of that, we can easily become blind to it. We cannot realize it, we cannot see it. So when you talk to somebody about their P.P.P, their Principal Psychological Profile, or their chief characteristic, it's very common that that person will think of it being lust, or another person may think of it as being anger. They could be right, yes, that's true, but most of the time they are wrong, because anger or pride is something very intense, very strong, and because it manifests in the person so intensely and so with so much force and perhaps with so much frequency, one can easily think that that's what their principal psychological profile is. But if you're thinking that way, I just urge you to look a little closer and be a bit more careful before concluding that that is your P.P.P. So with anger, it comes and then it goes. It comes for a reason, something triggers it, something in the environment, something somebody says, something that happens, brings it out. Or you remember the past and it comes out in you. But the thing is, it comes and it goes. The P.P.P doesn't come and go. It's always there in your psychology. It's sort of like the base of your psychology. It's like the base upon which all the processes and events in your psychological world happen on. It's sort of like the stage for the play of your psychology. And lust is exactly the same. It comes and it goes. It may manifest very intensely for a few days, a week or so, and then it'll drop down, it'll go again, leaving you with your P.P.P. So I just want to urge you that most cases the P.P.P of people is pride, not necessarily lust or anger. Anyhow, going back to some general characteristics of the P.P.P. So we said that the P.P.P is always there. It's like the stage, the backdrop, the background, the mood of your psychology. So also one very important thing is the P.P.P is a set of circumstances. The P.P.P is behind so many of the circumstances, events, happenings, occurrences of your life. All the dramas, tragedies, comedies of your life, the P.P.P has been behind all of those things. So for example, if a person is always dropping in and out of relationships with women or members of the opposite sex, a lot of dramas, adultery, all that sort of thing, constantly, then most likely the P.P.P of that person is lust. But in most cases it's pride, all your humiliations, your failures, your disappointments, your disillusions, your arguments, your protests, your defeats, your triumphs, your resentments, your jealousies, your pain, your hurts, your grudges, etc. all are to do with pride. Or if you have a lot of those things in your life, or just a little bit of them, then for sure your P.P.P is pride. So the one excellent thing about knowing your P.P.P, it's very important that you find out what it is. Because then once you know it and you start to work on it, you start to understand it, unravel it, comprehend it profoundly, deeply within yourself, you are going to advance or make tremendous changes in your psychology, in the way you think, and therefore the way you feel, and therefore the way you act. And when your way of acting changes, your life will change. So I really urge people to observe themselves. We say gnosis, or we say that it can take up to 5 years of observation, but I think if you're like 30 or 40 years old already, just going back over your life, using the just a few points that I've said in this short video, you will be able to pick it up. You will be able to find out what it is. And most of the cases, you can be sure that it is pride. It may not be a very obvious pride, but it's a pride that's always there in your mental process. A person could be very passive, and apparently is not one that boasts, that goes through a lot of tremendous failures or triumphs, or has a lot of grudges or resentments, but within the psychological flavour of the person, within his or her own thoughts, maybe they're always putting themselves up or putting others down or putting themselves down, then that is for sure, that's pride. So you have to look within your psychological processes. Okay, I hope this video has been useful for you.